Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is a little bit different from some of our other videos. This is a guest contribution from Antisocialmunky. It's taken from one of his ranked games. And those of you who might have taken part in some of our Friday morning games might know that Antisocialmunky is a Tristana Reroll specialist. So that's what we're going to be seeing here. He has played Tristana Reroll in about 180 ranked games as of the time of this recording, so he is an absolute master of playing this build, knows all the ins and outs, and we're going to see some gameplay footage here of what that looks like in a competitive ranked game at Master Tier, because he is in the Masters ELO bracket at the time this game was played. Alright, the portal is going to be a Noxus portal. It's the one where you get a flag that buffs nearby units, grants extra attack speed and max health shield to units that start combat next to it. I've actually never gotten this portal thus far. I've tried to pick it about 6 different times and it's never actually rolled. It is a portal that favors clumping because people want to stand next to the flag, and it's somewhat reminiscent of the Jade statues from what was it, set 7 with the dragons. Just it doesn't provide health regen, it provides attack speed and a max HP shield. But people clump around the flags the way that they used to clump around the statues, so stuff like Shroud of Stillness can be pretty good here. Okay, so Tristana Reroll. What are some of the basics to playing this build? Well, this is a build that rerolls for 1 cost units. So the leveling patterns are going to look a little bit different from what you would see in a lot of the other builds where you try to get to higher levels so you can find like 4 cost and 5 cost units. This is a build that needs to stay at low levels, so you are not going to be seeing Antisocialmunky level at all here in the early game, and that's very common if you're playing reroll builds at lower levels. Now, there are 4 units that he wants to play at the beginning of the game, 2 of which are super core to the build, the other 2 of which are still important, but a little bit less crucial overall. The 2 key units to this build are Maokai and Tristana, and then the other 2 units that go along with that are Viego and Poppy, and I'll talk more about them as the game goes on. One interesting thing about this game, and one of the reasons why Antisocial picked this one to share, he is being contested in this game by this player, Apathis. You might notice this person is picking up all of the same units. They're also picking up Trist, Poppy, Maokai, and Viego. So as I mentioned, those are kind of the core units to the build. So we're going to see Antisocialmunky take his first augment. He's going to take the Ezreal augment, which is very standard when you're playing this. Pretty much everyone at the top of the ladder is running the Ezreal legend. Not everyone, but it's by far the most common one that you're going to see here. Okay, so as I said, the 2 most core units are Tristana and Maokai. That's because Trist is the carry. Trist deals the most damage in this build. It is really a 1 carry build until the late game. Trist is the only one that really deals damage in the build. So Trist is absolutely critical. You have to 3-star Tristana if you're going to be playing this setup. The other key unit is Maokai, because Maokai is the tank in this board. You can see so far, Antisocial has been itemizing Maokai with his tank items. He has Gargoyle Stoneplate and Redemption so far. Antisocial, I believe, has said that these are 2 of his best in-slot items, that the Gargoyle Stoneplate is really good because he is the primary tank. He's going to be pulling most of the aggression, and then also the Redemption so that he has that ticking health regeneration. So those are the 2 key units, and then you need to 3-star both of them for this build to be effective. And then on top of that, it's absolutely important to 3-star one of the other 2 units, Viego or Poppy. You don't need to 3-star both. I mean, it's not bad if you do, but you have to 3-star one of the other 2. So 3-star Trist, 3-star Maokai, and then 3-star either Viego or Poppy. But 2 of those, 3 of those 4 units have to be 3-starred in order for this build to work. Now, by the way, here's the next Ezreal item, and it's going to be a Gunblade for Trist, which is really good news for Antisocialmunky, because the core items on Tristana are Gunblade and Last Whisper, and he's already been able to make one of them, and he has a glove, so he's halfway to Last Whisper as well. The Gunblade is really key because it allows Trist damage to heal the front line, and then the Last Whisper is necessary because otherwise Trist will get stuck on tanks and just get stuck uselessly shooting at tanks for the whole fight without an ability to armor shred. This is not a build that plays into anything that innately is going to give you armor or magic resistance shred. It is not going to play into Freljord or something like that. So you really, really need the Last Whisper, or else Trist damage is not going to be significant enough. Now look at what this is the other person who's playing Trist Reroll. Look what they have. Their Trist has a Gunblade and a Last Whisper. Their Maokai has a Redemption and half of a Gargoyle Stoneplate. These two are literally building the exact same items. It's pretty hilarious, actually, the way the two of them are mimicking each other. But the key difference in this fight is the other person has the Last Whisper on Tristana. So that means that their Trist is armor shredding the Maokai, whereas Antisocial's Trist just kind of gets stuck on the tank front line, and that is the difference in that round. That said, it's not really a bad outcome for Antisocialmunky because he wants to loss streak through the early game. By the way, there goes in the Viego. Viego is going to make Shadow Isles traits. So the traits we have in are Bastion for the front line, Maokai getting the extra armor and magic resistance, and then also Viego is in for Shadow Isles. That's going to give Maokai an additional shield and then additional mana generation as well. The next unit in after this is another Gunner, which you want to be Jinx. I suppose you could play Jace in a pinch, but it's really Jinx is the unit that you're going to be playing because she's a 2-cost unit. Jinx is not necessary to 3-star. If you hit a ton of Jinxes, you can try to head in that direction, but you rarely will look to 3-star Jinx just because it's expensive to try to go for that. But if you hit a lot of Jinxes, then Jinx can replace either the Viego or the Poppy if for some reason you'd hit a lot of them. Still, it's a little bit less important, and it's a unit that's going to get 3-starred a lot less often. And not critical to the build, Jinx is pretty much just there as a trait bot. This person has hit a Jinx earlier. They have not put in a Viego, so they have a little bit more damage on the Trist. Anyway, ASM is loss streaking. Again, this is super common. You want to be loss streaking through the early game. The goal is close losses. One of the advantages of that is you do get early carousel priority, and there is the bow for the Last Whisper. It's exactly what ASM would want. It's on a 3 gold Echo who could be sold for a little bit of additional income, and it's the bow to make Last Whisper. So far, he has all 1-stars. He's not really hitting the champions so far, but he does have very good items for this build. Maokai has pretty much exactly what you'd want in Gargoyles and the Redemption, and Trist is now going to have her 2 core items in the Gunblade and the Last Whisper. And there's 2-star Maokai, which is going to be a big deal. He can also, there we go, sell the Echo to get to 30. So as I said, here in the early game, you're really just trying to build up as much econ as possible. You want to get up to 50 gold ASAP so that you can pick up the additional econ. That's very important. Because there's going to be a big roll down at the end, at the beginning of the next stage that I'll talk about in a minute. So you saw Antisocial buy up some of the other 1-cost units. It's fine to grab them and take the logic is if you grab these other 1-costs and take them out of the pool, it will increase the odds so that you can find the units you do care about, Maokai, Trist, Poppy, and Viego. So that's kind of the logic there, is you buy up the 1-cost so you can take them out of the pool. That said, you don't want to miss econ. It's more important to hit your economic breakpoint. So you notice that Antisocial has made sure to get up to 30 gold here. And by the way, this fight, I think it looks like he's going to lose this fight, but the problem is this other comp is very low damage, and the Redemption on Maokai is just healing him. And it looks like the enemy team really is not having good luck at getting through the Redemption over there on the Maokai. And so then in overtime, Trist actually ends up killing everything, which is actually not good. What Antisocial wants there is a close loss. He wants to keep his loss streak going. So that was actually kind of not as good as what he potentially would have wanted, because he did end up costing him his loss streak right there. So not great. But anyway, so as I said, you can pick up these other 1-costs. You just don't want them to cause you to miss econ. That said, I personally think that this is kind of a waste of time. You see this, if you watch the live streamers at the top of the ladder, they do this all the time. I think it's kind of a waste of time to do this. And the rationale behind that is there's just so many 1-costs in the overall pool. There are 13 1-cost units in set 9, and there's 28 copies of each one. So that's the way the shared pool works. 13 times 28 is 364. Yeah, there's 364 total 1-cost units in the pool. So like buying up 1-cost to take them out of the pool, I mean, if you take like 4 additional 1-costs, instead of 364, there's 360. I mean, I guess that slightly increases your odds of finding the units you care about, but the effect is just so small, it's kind of irrelevant. Like maybe you increase your odds by like 1%, maybe 2%, but you also fill up your bench with units that can get you very confused. Like right now, you're going to see ASM buy up all the board, but like I said, I think it's just kind of irrelevant busy work doing this personally. The odds that you can just get confused and sell the wrong unit, or just get caught by what people refer to as getting dizzy in the TFT parlance, which is just like there's too many things going on and it creates confusion. I don't know. I think that the maybe minuscule 1% odds you have better chance to hit your units is not worth the odds of you just getting confused. So I don't think that this is really worth it personally, but it does very, very, very slightly increase the odds you're going to hit your units, but be aware that it's very marginal. It actually does matter a lot if for like the 4 and 5 cost units, but for 1 cost units, it's kind of pointless. Okay, so we're about to come up on the single most important round of the game, and that is the 3-1 roll down. As you're going to see Antisocialmunky get a champion duplicator there. That's nice. So why is he going to roll down here? Well, if you notice, he's going to be level 5 next turn. So he wants to roll down here on level 4, where he has 55% odds for the 1 cost. And he has to do this as quickly as possible because he's being contested. The other Trist player is also rolling down in the lobby, and he's trying to hit the units before the other Trist hits them. So he's looking for those 4 units. Remember, Tristana, Maokai, Poppy, and Viego. And you can see the other player is rolling as well. So he's going to continue. Is he going to end up stopping here? Let's see what he ended up finding before the dust settles. All right, he stopped at 20. He didn't want to roll down further than 20, but it looks like it was a pretty successful roll down. So we got up to 7 Maokais, 6 Tristanas, 7 Viegos, only 2 Poppies, so Poppy has not been showing up. And ASM apparently decides to keep rolling here. Now, this is a little bit unusual. He probably would not do this if he wasn't being contested, but he decides to roll a little bit further here. And I think that's because he wanted to get more of these items before they get taken out by the other player. Like I said, that's why it's so hard to play this build when you're contested, because the other person is taking those units out of the pool. I think he only stopped because he ran out of bench space. So now Jinx will go in, and look at this, the Ezreal second augment. You're going to get an additional item component, but most importantly, 12 additional gold, and that's going to let him keep rolling down. So there's the Viego, there's another Trist. Going to keep rolling here. Again, picking up these 1 costs I think is largely just more likely to confuse him than actually help him, but that's another issue. So he's going to keep rolling. There's the 3-star Trist. No, he has rolled all the way down to 7 gold. He's still rolling here, and then, he hits the Maokai 3-star as well. So he has gone all the way down to 0 gold. He spent all of his money thus far, but look what he's managed to hit. He hit the 3-star Trist. He hit the 3-star Maokai. Remember, those are the 2 most important units to hit, the Tristana and the Maokai. And he also hit 3-star Viego, and that's also super critical because he has to hit 1 other 3-cost, or 1 other 3-star. He needs 3 3-stars to make the build works, and that's due to how the Yordle straight works. By the way, ASM typing that was pretty bricky. This is honestly bad manners, and he should not do this. ASM, don't do this in your games. There's just no point in taunting the other player like this. Just bad manners. But basically, the other player was able to... It looks like the other player didn't hit anything. They're on 8 Trists, 8 Poppies. So they came up a little bit short. And that's due in part because of the fact that Antisocial was rolling so fast, he took a lot of these units out of the pool. So you do see the advantage of having played this build, 180 times in ranked games, is the speed. Like, that's the difference, that ASM's able to roll down so fast because he's done this so many times. He just has the experience. He has the practice of doing this. That's the difference between someone who's mastered the build and someone who is just playing it. All right, so they hit the 3-star Trist, but they're not close to 3-starring Maokai, and that's a real problem because Maokai's the main tank in this build. Maokai's the unit that he needs to hit as well, and he only has, I think, 5 Maokais over there. He's close to 3-star Poppy, but again, you need 3 3-stars. ASM's also going to reforge that because he doesn't need another glove, and he gets a rod, which is not really something he can use. So that's probably going to sit on the bench for right now. Okay, I keep saying you need 3 3-stars for this build. Why is that? Well, it's due, to how the Yordle trait works. So Yordle trait is, I'll go ahead and just read the description. Yordle trait is allies gain 10% attack speed per star level. So by having a 3-star Trist, when you put the Yordle trait in, Trist will get 30% attack speed. But the big thing is if Yordles can become 4-star units, gaining an additional spell upgrade, and that's required. In order to do that, you have to have 3 3-star champions. That's what Yordle 3 is. If you have 3 3-star champions, your strongest 3-star Yordle champions becomes a 4-star unit. And so that's why he needs the 3rd 3-star. You need Trist to deal damage. You need Maokai to tank. But then you need another 3-star so you can activate the 4-star version of the unit, which is going to be Tristana because she's the carry in this comp. All right, Antisocial is towards the bottom end of the health pool. Again, he was lost streaking all through the early game, so that's not surprising. And that allows him to get an early carousel pick, and he has gone ahead and taken a sword here. And that's because he wants Giant Slayer. Giant Slayer is, from what I've seen, it is the other best in slot item for Trist. So the last item is not as important. Like we said, the Last Whisper and the Gunblade are really core. Third item is not quite as mandatory, but Giant Slayer seems to be a really good option as well. It's great at just cutting through the late game tanks because Trist does not have any backline access. This is a strictly front-to-back team fight setup. There's no way to really hit the backline early on. So Trist is going to be hitting tanks, and the Giant Slayer is good at cutting through high health targets. So the Last Whisper shreds armor on high armor targets, and then the Giant Slayer helps kill high health targets. And that's the reason why ASM prioritizes this item over there. You might notice now that he has hit his 3 stars, his build is actually quite strong. He's gone from lost streaking over to win streaking. And that's kind of the way that this build is meant to be played, is you're very weak all throughout the early game. You lose a lot of health. He actually has not lost as much health as you normally would. Typically when you play this build, you're going to go down to maybe 40, 50 health. But he fortunately was able to avoid losing too much health. Now what he wants to do is get level 6. It's very important to get to level 6 because that allows him to put another Yordle in. I actually think he might have considered playing Teemo over the Jinx just to get Yordle trait in, but maybe not. Jinx is 2-starred, and the Gunner trait's pretty important for Trist as well. Gunner trait is going to provide stacking AD to Tristana. It can stack up to 8 times. Gunner 2 is, let me check what this is. They tweak this in patches. Gunner 2 is currently 6% AD per attack. So Trist can stack that 8 times, so get up to 48% additional AD, which is a lot of additional attack damage. And she can stack that up pretty easily throughout the fights. So that's important because Trist doesn't have like an IE to boost, an Infinity Edge to boost her damage. She doesn't have like a Death Blade to boost her damage. So definitely wants to stack up that damage, and Gunner Straight is pretty important in that respect. By the way, Maokai is like not even getting scratched in these fights now that he's a 3-star unit. Maokai probably a little overtuned in these initial versions of Set 9. It's really the Maokai that makes this build work. The fact that he is so unkillable gives Trist time to cut through all the tanks on the other team, which she's doing pretty effortlessly right now. So this is kind of a weird build in the sense that, you know, you stay at low levels, you stay at level 4 all the way until 3-1, and then you do the big roll down on 3-1 to try to hit Trist 3-star, the Maokai 3-star, and either Poppy or Viego. This is a game where, you know, Antisocial has really not hit Poppy at all. He only has 2 Poppies, but again, he doesn't need Poppy to be 3-star. He needs Poppy or Viego to be 3-star. So anyway, you stay on low levels early on, and then you have the big roll down on level on 3-1 while you're still at level 4. There's 2-star Poppy finally. Doesn't look like he's going to 3-star Poppy this game. And I think he's going to make the Sunfire Cape. That could also be a Bramble. Bramble would probably be slightly better, but Sunfire's not bad, and it does get a heal cut in his comp. So anyway, you roll down, and then after that happens, after you hit the 3-star units, again, Trist, Maokai, and then either Viego or Poppy, at that point you want to level as quickly as possible. So it's kind of weird because you stay at low levels for so long, and then the goal is to level as quickly as possible. We already saw that already. The goal is to get to level 6 ASAP because at level 6 Teemo could be dumped in, and then that puts Yordle trait in play, which is a big deal. That's why Trist is a 4-star unit. That's why she's got the little green border on her there instead of the gold border. Normally you can't get past 3-star, obviously, but the Moonlight trait back in Set 4 would let you get up to 4-star unit, and that's what Trist is here. So obviously gets higher base stats, and what is it her ability picks up? I'm actually going to look at this. I haven't looked at this in a while. Let's see. The 4-star version is every 10th attack deals bonus physical damage, ricochets to the largest clump of enemies, deals physical damage to enemies within 1 hex. So she gets an additional bonus where every 10th attack ricochets to a big clump of enemy and deals bonus damage. 4-star shot damage is 100% of AD, and ricochet explosion 50% of AD. So yeah, obviously she gets higher base stats for being a 4-star unit, and then she gets this extra ability. Okay, so it's time for the last augment, and this is where the game gets kind of wacky again, is the opportunity to pick a prismatic augment. Could have taken the Force of Nature there, which would not have been a terrible option. Could have just taken the double spatulas and made Force of Nature. Alternately, could have taken, what was the other thing there? Gunner Emblem. So that would have made it easier to play 4 gunners, but ASM just goes for the stats. Well-earned comfort, any unit that's holding an item is going to get additional health on it. So he just goes for the stats. And one of the things Antisocial has said is it's very important to take a combat augment for the last one, because the first 2 augments you typically take are the Ezreal augments. You take the items for the first one, and then the second one gives you additional gold for more rerolling, plus I think another 2 components. I mean, those are combat augments, to be sure. You know, they're giving you items, so they're getting reinforced into making you stronger. But he has said it's very important to take a combat augment for this third one. Don't take another econ augment. Just take something that's going to give you more board strength. And by the way, there he hits the other player, who again does not have 3 3-stars. They have 3-star Trist and 3-star Poppy, but they don't have another 3-star. And again, that's really killing them, and that's why they're down to 17 HP. So what you're seeing on that other player is what happens when you don't hit with this build. If you don't hit, if you're contested and you don't hit, you're almost certainly going 8th place. Because there's only so many of these units in the pool, and when you're contesting other players, it's harder to hit them. Now, Antisocial you saw level to level 7, so he's almost caught up to the rest of the lobby. The rest of the lobby is mostly going to level 8 at this point, so he's still behind in terms of leveling, but he's definitely caught up a fair bit, and this win streak is giving him additional income, which is quite nice too. At level 7, there's not really a key unit that you put onto this board. That's why I said one thing he could have done would have been to take the Gunner emblem. Then he could have put Jason for 4 Gunners here, but ASM, as I said, just went for something that was more combat focused, additional health from the well-earned comforts. And now he's trying to power level to level 8, because level 7 didn't really give him that much. He put in a Katarina, which gives rogue trait for the Viego, but again, that's not really that significant. Also note that he beat the person who took Think Fast Augment and was able to 2-star their challengers with Think Fast Augment. So definitely this is a build that gets pretty strong once it hits all of its pieces. The other thing that's making it strong is Antisocial does have pretty much perfect items for his units. As I said, he has what he considers to be perfect items on Trist, and then the Maokai is basically perfect items as well, except you probably would want the Bramble Vest over the Sunfire. So it's slightly off, but very close to perfect items here. So definitely good stuff. Here he's just going to go ahead and take the belt, excuse me. I did wonder if he might have taken the, what was the other option? The other option was a cloak. Yes, why is it hard to think of the item names? The other option was potentially a cloak, and I thought maybe he would take that because that could be Ionic Spark, but this is a build that really does not do magic damage. It's pretty much all physical damage, so Ionic Spark not as important in this build. And Maokai's already fully itemized anyway, so I guess he could put it on like Viego, but that's, you know, not amazing or anything. So he just takes the generic tank item here, which can be put on someone later on, depending on what happens. It goes on Cat because Cat's going to come out of the comp at level 8. So anyway, now he's trying to get to level 8 as quickly as possible. And like I said, this is a build that really wants to get to high levels after the early game. So as I said, it is a build that caps out relatively highly. You might think, oh, it plays all these one-cost units, so it's probably a build that doesn't cap out all that highly, but it actually kind of does. Alright, now this fight is close. There, Yasuo on the other team jumped on the Trist and got low, and then Kaisa got Trist down to like, I don't know, 10% health, but fortunately Trist with the Gunblade was able to heal off the damage that she's doing, and is able to stay alive in the fight. Again, why Gunblade's important, you want it to heal the front line, but also to heal Trist in case she's taking like chip damage throughout the fight. If Trist ever gets sniped in this build, it's pretty much game over because there's no other damage in this build. It is strictly a one-threat comp until the very late game when you get a secondary carry. Alright, that was a great stage though. Antisocial carried his win streak all the way through, up to the end of the stage. And that's really important for economic purposes. If he had lost that round, he would have had a lot less money to play around. Oh no, he has one more round to go. I thought that was the end of the stage, but he's got one more round to go. So let's see who he hits this round. If he's able to keep the win streak going here. He's on an 8-match winning streak since he hit his units. Okay, he's up against someone who's playing the strategist board with Azir and Lux and Jarvan and whatnot. One of the things ASM has said is that the late game turns into a real case of can you dodge like Jarvan ults and Yasuo is trying to ult on the back line. That's kind of the biggest thing to think of in terms of the late game. In this fight, Jarvan did ult the back line and got the stun off on Tristana, but ASM's board is just so much stronger than this other person, it doesn't end up mattering here. Now that said, this person does have the golden egg back there, so if the golden egg ever hatches, then that board's going to get an awful lot stronger, so that's kind of the risk there. Alright. So he's going to pick up a Zaun unit, and he's going to pick up Echo. Echo is definitely preferred over the Katarina. And the reason for that is he will give you a Zon item to play around with. That Zon item will eventually go onto Zeri, but until you find Zeri, you can put it on one of the other units. You don't want to put it on Jinx because you can't remove the Zon items without selling the unit, and you don't want to sell the Jinx. So that's why it goes on Echo. Echo's going to get sold, and then that item will get transferred over to Jinx. And now on level, he's going to look to go level 8, and on level 8, the goal is to get up to 4 Gunners. You want to play Zeri, so here he goes. He's going to level up to 8, and he wants to play Zeri, and he wants to play... I mean, ideally Senna, if you can find Senna. It's much harder to find Senna because she's a 5 cost. But if you can't find her, you can play Jace as well, though Jace is not an especially good unit. But anyway, he's trying to get up to... 4 Gunners here. The problem is he hasn't found the units for it, so that's why he's playing Jarvan. But oh my goodness gracious, that's the big hit. He found the Senna. Holy cow. So Senna is the other unit that takes over as your other late game carry in this build. She's very difficult to find, but if you can find her, she's fantastic because she has everything that this comp wants. By the way, apparently this person just quit the lobby. He hit someone who quit the lobby apparently at the end of the last stage. So ASM just gets a free win here for his 10th win in a row. Very nice. Anyway, so what are Senna's traits? Well, she has her unique trait, Redeemer. But more importantly, she's a gunner, so that's great. Like I said, you want to play 4 Gunners with Trist anyway. So she gives you a rank of Gunner, and she also gives a rank of Shadow Isles too. Remember, Shadow Isles is the trait that makes Maokai tankier. So she gives you the... And there's Zeri. Ah, there we go. So now just need to take out the Echo and play Zeri. And then that'll get up to 4 Gunners. And also need to keep Teemo on the board. So gonna put the Zon item onto Zeri. This is a decent one, gives her additional attack speed. Also gives her kind of like a Guardian, or kind of like a Edge of Night, Guardian Angel type thing. So now this is kind of the core board. At level 8, you've got the 4 Gunners in. 4 Gunners basically doubles the stacking benefit. Right now in this patch, 4 Gunners is 11% AD per attack, stacks 8 times. So when that gets fully stacked, that's 88% additional attack damage for Trist. Very, very nice. And then Senna takes over as the other carry. So in the late game, you do get a secondary carry. You get Senna, who's also going to take advantage of the Gunner's benefit to stack up Gunners. And she's also then going to keep proccing those big shields that will protect the rest of the team, which is really, really nice. In fact, in this fight, Maokai probably dies without Senna putting that shield on him over and over and over again. So normally at this point in time, you'd say, all right, well, you know, we've gotten to level 8, time to roll, try to hit our 4 costs, and 2-star our 4 costs, right? But no, that's actually not what this build wants to do. This build wants to get to level 9. And the reason for that is there's just not that much at level 8. What would he roll for on level 8? I mean, he could 2-star Zeri, I suppose, but Zeri is just a trait bot in this comp. Zeri is actually not that important. In the prior patch, in the release version of Set 9, you would often look to itemize Zeri because Zeri was the most overtuned unit in the game in that patch. But in this patch that we're playing here, which is the first full patch of Set 9, Zeri's not very strong. She's the worst 4 cost in the game, statistically, and so you don't look to itemize her. I suppose you can if you can't find Senna, but in this game, Antisocial was fortunate enough to find Senna at the 4% odds. So yeah, Zeri is not really an important unit. So what is the purpose of rolling here on level 7 or level 8? Not much. You don't really care if you 2-star Zeri in this build. So the goal then is to get to level 9. Level 9 allows you to put in a Shadow Isles unit for Shadow Isles 4. That's typically going to be Gwen. And that's going to make Maokai much tankier. It's going to give Senna additional mana generation once she procs the Shadow Isles ability, which I think is after 8 seconds. And at level 9, you have better odds to 2-star Senna and also find Heimerdinger. Alright, this carousel, ASM was actually the last place person in the lobby in terms of health. He would have likely taken the Spear of Shojin because Spear of Shojin's really good on Senna. It allows her to get more cast off of her ability. She has very high mana costs, but that allows her to get the cast off. And instead, he ends up taking the Quicksilver because that's also a very solid a very solid Senna item. And in addition to that, it gives him another Zeri as well. So that's pretty nice. Now, I do think Antisocial makes a mistake here. I think you should pick up the Gwen, because Gwen is the unit that goes in at level 9, and I think you should just pick up that unit here. It wouldn't even cost him Econ. He can just sell the 1 cost on his bench. He has 1 cost Kale, 1 cost Maokai, 1 cost Samira. Like, what are these units doing? What is the purpose of holding these units? Surely he doesn't think he's going to 3-star the Poppy at this point, right? He has 4 Poppies, and he's going to level 9, where you have terrible odds to find 1 cost units. So there's no purpose in holding these units. I mean, to increase the odds of finding Poppies by like 1/2 of 1%, it's pretty silly. It's just not really going to do anything. So he should just sell those 3 and pick up Gwen, and it won't even cost an econ to do that. So I don't quite understand that decision. Even though Gwen is not, I mean, Gwen is basically a trait bot as well. Gwen's just in there to get 4 Shadow Isles, and you can probably find Gwen on level 9, but like, why take the risk? Just grab her right now. It doesn't cost econ. Just grab the Gwen. Like, I don't really understand that logic here. I mean, again, it wouldn't have cost econ on either the previous round or this round. It would have cost no econ to just grab the Gwen, and then you've got your unit ready to go when you toss it in at the beginning of level 9. So as I said, I don't quite understand that, but a little mistake, I think. All right, this other player, OMI90, this is the player that had the golden egg, and they managed to get the golden egg to hatch on 10 HP. So oof. That's bad news for the rest of the lobby. They got a Tactician's Crown for +1 unit, and they also ended up getting a Radiant Thief's Glove, it looks like, for their other item. So yikes. That forward got way stronger, and that's something that ASM's going to have to deal with. At least they're only on 10 HP, so if they lose 1 round, they'll be out of the game, but still. In this round, the health bars bug out for some reason, so you can't see the enemy health bars. But as long as Maokai's still alive, ASM's probably winning the fight as long as Maokai's still alive. All right, he goes down. I mean, it's close. It's pretty close there, but Trist is able to win together with Senna. And Senna's now kicking in a lot of damage in her own right. Also, why is he re-rolling the store here? I genuinely don't understand that. I don't know if that was a misclick to re-roll the store, but surely there's no purpose to re-roll an 8 here. He already has 2-star Zeri. Everything's 2-starred except for the Teemo, and Teemo is not a unit he even wants to play. The goal is go to level 9, replace Teemo with Heimerdinger, because unlike Teemo, who's just a trait bot, Heimer is a legitimate unit in his own right. And then play Gwen on level up. So I don't, and like, there's a Gwen in the store, but once again, he doesn't buy the Gwen. So like I said, ASM knows what he's doing, but I do think these are mistakes that he's making here in the late game. So anyway, yeah, and now he's just going to go level 9, I think, or okay, he's going to hold off for 1 more round. He does still have a champion duplicator, so hopefully he can find 1 more Senna and then champion duplicate the Senna. He's been holding that Senna the entire game. Or not that Senna, he's been holding the champion duplicator the entire game. Also to take a Shroud here, which I think is a very smart choice. And he has a Zephyr to play around with too, so late game Zephyrs are great, remember? So he can Zephyr out whoever he wants. Right now he's been focusing on Zephyring out the front line, which again is not a bad choice. It definitely means that Trist has better odds of getting through the front line and hitting backline priority units over there. This is a Challengers board with Ionia. It's the standard Yasuo plus Kaisa. Yasuo had his Edge of Night triggered. Trist is still focusing that unit. Senna's going to get low, but again, the big Senna shield is going to help out, and it looks like he has just enough to win this round. Are they out? Yes. Out of the lobby. That was the Think Fast player from earlier. So it's down to just him and the person who got the golden egg to hatch. So anyway, ASM's going to level right now, and again, if he had Gwen to put in, that would sure be nice. He does find another Senna, so he can duplicate the Senna. And there's Heimerdinger in the store, so that's great. All right, so he's going to have 2-star Senna, and that's really big. And then he's got the Heimerdinger, so he can sell Teemo, play Heimer. But the problem is he's missing Gwen. He's missing a unit for 4 Shadow Eyes. He can put in the Jarvan, which will give him... Well, it would have given him Strategist straight with Teemo. Teemo's now out of the build, so it's not going to do that. But anyway, he's going to now look to place his Shroud. He does have the opportunity to do a drop-in Shroud, so that's pretty nice. And he's just going to put it on the Poppy, so that's not bad. Poppy's just holding the utility items. Again, the problem, though, is this person did have the golden egg hatch, and they've got the Tactician's Crown for the +1 unit, and they've got that Radiant Thief's Glove on one of their... They have a Radiant item of some kind. I think it's a Radiant Thief's Glove. In this fight, it's close. Can he win this fight and end the game? It's down to just the Lux and the Azir, but it looks like Lux Azir a little bit too strong. Not quite enough. The Lux with the Radiant Archangels with 180 ability power. Getting pretty nasty right there. Alright, so he's going to take the Shrink module here. Generally speaking, when you're playing Heimer in this build, Shrink module is always good. You definitely want at least 1 instance of Shrink module for the armor and magic resistance shred. In addition to that, self-repair is really good because this comp needs additional frontline, and that turns the Heimer turret into a bit of a tank that has to be killed over and over again. So those are probably the 2 most useful. The burn module's not bad either, certainly, because it will allow you to get some burn damage over time. All right, this round he's going to try to put the Zephyr on the Lux, and I think that that's a smart decision. I think that that's a good choice in this fight. So Lux will take a little bit longer to be dealing her damage. Also got the Shroud off on Azir as well. So let's see, how close is this round? Lux is beaming down the Senna. She's still alive. Oh, if he had Shadow Isles 4 in, That might make a difference. Ah, wow, he gets the Lux, but the Azir is still alive and comes up a little bit short. Yeah, I do think Shadow Owl's 4 might have been enough to win that because it would have been a bigger shield on the Shadow Owl's units. As far as what's on this carousel, there's not really anything too crucial. He's just going to take the Heimer for another Heimer in the hopes of hitting Heimer 2-star. The Dragon's Claw is certainly not bad, but there's not really anyone to put it on. I guess you could put it on the... I'm not exactly sure. Goldenator is not what you want, so you want to reroll for that. There's the Repair-O-Matic. That's actually not bad at all. So I think he's going to lock for that one. But yeah, he still doesn't have Shadow Owl's 4 in. The Jarvan is really not doing anything. So like I said, I really think he should have held that Gwen from earlier. Because it actually is hurting his build quite a bit not having that in. Okay, he's going to go back to trying to Zephyr the front line again. I think he's trying to Zephyr the Jarvan with the Radiant Thief's Glove, which is not a bad call. That said, I think that it was a pretty effective... all right, never mind. There he is. He's going to go back to hitting the Lux again. I think that this is a pretty smart use. But, the swap back. Very smart by the other player. At the last second, they swap the Teemo over. So the Lux does not get Zephyred right there. Also, Radiant's Gunblade is an incredibly powerful Radiant item. It just is so much healing for the enemy team. This fight's pretty close. He's gotten through the front line now. Can he manage to get on the Lux and on the Azir? Senna is getting close, but she's going to get beamed down. Lux goes down, but Azir is still standing. Look how close that fight is. So these are very, very close rounds, but he hasn't quite been able to win. And I guess he did opt to unlock in the hopes of hitting Heimer 2-star. Okay, so he unlocked there, and I think the goal was he was just trying to hit Heimer 2-star. So the corner Zephyrs have been a good idea, but unfortunately the other player was paying attention and was able to dodge that particular one. All right, so we're getting close to the end of the game here. ASM did bank a lot of health. He only needs to win 1 round against this player. It looks like he has 2 more shots at this right now. So he's going to swap over to Echo for Rogue Trait in the hopes that maybe Viego can get on the back line. It's not a bad call. Jarvan is not really getting his ults off in these fights, and he decided to put the Zephyr up on the front line this time. Although he didn't get Jarvan, he ended up getting the Nasus, who is probably a less important target. And looks like Lux is right back to her previous spot again, so... would have been effective if he had kept the Zephyr over there. Also, Lux has rolled Radiant Gunblade once again, which is probably the best item she can roll. Again, this fight is super close. 2-star Heimer might be enough to win this. Oh, Senna, you got this? Senna comes up a little bit short. Yeah, I feel like he needs Lux to roll a worse item on her Radiant item, and then maybe 2-star Heimer is enough to win this. So there's going to be a Repair-O-Matic, I'm assuming. Okay, that allows the turret to come back to life after it dies. So, yeah, he just needs 1 more Heimer. I think Heimer 2-star might be enough to do this. And then he really needs to get a Shadow Owl's unit. It doesn't even matter who it is. Gwen is the best option, but, I mean, Kalista would be fine, or just whoever you can throw in there for Shadow Owl's 4. It's a big difference because the shield doubles in size. Shadow Owl's 4 would be more mana generation for Gwen after the Shadow Owl's thing procs 8 seconds into the fight. And there's a Gwen. Okay, so that's got to be better, right? Can he find the Heimer? Can we find 2-star Heimer? Heimer? No Heimer. But at least can play the Gwen for Shadow Owl's 4 for the larger shield. And, okay, we could put a Zeke's here. That might not necessarily be terrible either, but it's hard to position around the flagpole with that. What is he going to end up picking? He just ends up taking the Thief's Glove. That's pretty good. And yeah, Zeri's a good choice for that. Zeri is another damage source in this build. So, all right, we're down to 1 last round. This person actually has a Zephyr. They should just use their Zephyr off their Radiant Thief's Glove to hit Senna or Trist. Are they going to do that? No, they're going to hit the Viego. Wow, that's a mispositioning. That's a pretty big mistake by the other player. Anyway, Maokai is alive. Oh, look at the size of that Shadow Owl's 4 shield. Huge shield on the Maokai. And Gwen's getting beamed down, but she's just going to survive thanks to the Shadow Owl's 4 shield. Now they're hitting the backline. It's just Azir and Lux. Can they take out the Lux? Down goes the Azir. Down goes the Lux. And that's going to be a victory in this one. So a very close, very tight game, but ultimately able to overcome the player who unhatched the golden egg, got the Tactician's Crown and the Radiant Thief's Glove. So, yeah. A nice match there. So a great showcase for some of the things that you would want to see in this build. First of all, playing against another player who was contested. ASM having to change up his strategy a little bit because he was contested in that game. He had to do the more aggressive roll down on at the beginning of stage 3, but he did hit his units. You saw what happened to the other player who just came up a little bit short. That person went out in 8th, and instead ASM was able to win streak for a long. He had like a 10-match win streak after he hit his units. And then in the late game, finding the Sennas, getting Senna 2-star, really, really big, and also finding the Heimerdinger, and then 4 Shadow Elves, 4 Gunner in the late game to make your board stronger. Great stuff. Anyway, thank you, Antisocial, for sharing this with me. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. For everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, have a great week, folks, and I'll see you again soon.